Order the meeting of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen for Tuesday, February the 20th. First on our agenda is to adopt the agenda, and I have a few changes for you. If you will add to your consent agenda at number 7C6 to accept a resignation in development services, and you have a memo in front of you for that. If you would remove number 8 from the agenda, we'll be hearing that in 2 weeks. And if you will, I know we have a lot of people that are here for Cedar Oak, so I'm going to move that agenda item that is currently at 23, we will move it up to number 8 so that y'all can stay or not stay, whatever you want to do, but you won't have to wait through the whole meeting to hear your item that you're here to talk about. So with those changes, are there any more, Ashley?
No, ma'am. That's all I
okay.
had.
Could I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion made.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, a quick mayor's report. First, I want to welcome Mary Martha Crow, who is joining us as Alderman at Large. She was sworn in today at 4 o'clock, so she has gone straight into the fire. And I know, that's right. We are thrilled to have her on this board and know that she will add a lot to the board. In the past few weeks, we've appointed and have sworn in a new municipal court judge, Judge Mike Watts, who was sworn in last week and is now our judge. We are very sad that that comes at the death of our previous municipal judge, Hal Nelson, but we believe that Mike Watts is going to do a great job, and we are very excited that he was ready to step into that role. We did last week have a reception on campus, and in partnership that is between the city and the university. You may have read about some of the in partnerships that the university has done in communities surrounding, and we're excited that they've chosen to do one in their own backyard. So it's a partnership that takes the talent and energy and things that are going on campus, and it's not a financial contribution to the community, but it's an investment of time and energy and planning, and they are going to do things. We realized during COVID that our Hispanic community, that we just have not really found good ways to serve our Hispanic community and haven't found good ways to bring them to the table on issues. And so they are helping us by translating all of our city forms, our city website, all of the different things that we have through the building department, and we're trying to eliminate any barriers that, that we just unknowingly had. And trying to find some ways to bring some of our Hispanic residents into boards and appoint them to commissions and find ways to plug them into the community more. They're also going to help with Love Packs and helping them market and have a plan for growth, and they are going to help with the Oxford Community Market and some other things that are going on in town. So we're really excited about that partnership with the university, and you'll hear more about that as we go along. The last thing that I will end my mayor's report with is we are in the middle of the legislative session. It is an extended session this year, as it is a new term, and so the session goes through April, and tonight you will hear us talk about the 3 requests that we're making of the legislature this session. So with that, I'll ask the board to authorize the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on February 6th and the special meeting on February 8th.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry, any opposed? Ask for permission to approve the amended minutes of the regular board meeting on January 17th, July 5th, and September the 5th to correct information related to surplus property.
Yes, this is kind of a housekeeping item. The surplus forms were attached to the agenda. I just missed them when I was writing my minutes and missed a couple of the little details in those.
Motion made to approve. Second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ask you to authorize the approval of accounts for all city departments.
Move we pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Ask you to consider the consent agenda with the one addition at 7C6.
Motion made to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, we moved 23 up to number 8. So at this time, we'll consider a resolution to the Mayor and Board of Aldermen in support of local and private legislation allowing the sale of property held in public trust. So I am going to start by reading that resolution. All right, whereas the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Oxford was requested to accept a historic home and adjacent property known as Cedar Oaks from Oxford Lafayette Historic Homes, Inc. in 2010, and whereas the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Oxford adopted an agreement for the transfer of property from Oxford Lafayette Historic Homes, Inc. in 2010 because the nonprofit requested the transfer because of the ongoing maintenance and operational cost. And whereas the mayor and board of aldermen of the city of Oxford entered into an agreement with the Oxford Lafayette Historic Homes, Inc., stating in part that the city agrees to accept the property and to hold the property in the public trust and to add Cedar Oaks to the tourism assets of the city of Oxford. And whereas the agreement of the Oxford Lafayette Historic Homes, Inc. further provided that cities shall have all final decision-making authority related to the subject property, including as to management, maintenance, programming, and use of the property. And whereas the city of Oxford believes that it has satisfied its duty to hold the property in the public trust and requests legislative authority to allow it to sell such property through special legislation should it decide that such sale is in the best interests of the city of Oxford, and if such sale is undertaken pursuant to the requirements of state law. And whereas the city of Oxford is requesting local and private legislation authorizing the city to sell the property pursuant to 21-17-1 of the Mississippi Code 1972, and to conduct the actual sale at a time determined by the local governing authority if it determines to do so. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and board of aldermen acting for and on behalf of the city of Oxford supports the aforementioned request for local and private legislation authorizing the sale of the property known as Cedar Oaks pursuant to existing statutory requirements for such sale, should the city of Oxford determine in the future that it wishes to make such sale. So I posted a lot of this information online, but I know that not everybody, I'm reminded often that not everybody is looking at social media, and so I apologize for those of you who have heard some of this already. Forgive me, I'm trying not to cough, so forgive me for taking sips here, but the Board of Aldermen have not declared the Cedar Oaks building surplus, nor has the Board of Aldermen authorized the sale. As the resolution explains, there is not a pending or definitive date for selling the property. Simply, the resolution asks for legislation to be in place in the event the Board of Aldermen decides to sell or distribute the property. A yes vote would approve the resolution to pursue the local and private legislation to help the city determine its options in regards to Cedar Oaks. The surrounding lots and the land encumbered by the Mississippi Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. This means it is committed to being utilized for outdoor recreation no matter who owns the lots that Cedar Oaks sits on. As stewards of taxpayer money and stewards of city property, we are constantly looking at the use of the property, whether it benefits the taxpayers of Oxford. The expenses and usage of Cedar Oaks has been discussed in public budget meetings and in a regular board meeting over the past 5 years as we discuss all of our historic properties. In May 2023, during our budget meetings, while considering capital expenses for Cedar Oaks and the budget for our growing community, the board requested that our COO, Bart Robinson, explore the steps that would be taken if the board decided that the expenses associated with Cedar Oaks were outweighing the benefit of public use of the property and options for additional funding mechanisms were to be considered. Several people have asked, why are you seeking this local and private legislation? And the answer is because we believe that it's the clearest path to allow us to value the property and to determine whether a sale or lease makes sense down the road. If this resolution is approved by the Board of Aldermen, the board will explore numerous paths forward that will include community input and public meetings. This is the first step and would lead to informed discussions regarding ways to make Cedar Oaks more sustainable. Also, it's important to remember that Cedar Oaks is a Mississippi historic landmark. Alterations to the building would have to be approved by the Mississippi Department of Archives and History. The house will be protected. Also, it is important to note that as it stands today, much of the adjacent property is part of the Mississippi Historic Landmark designation and would have to be developed accordingly. If the local and private passes, we'll spend time exploring exactly what that looks like. But that does not mean, I've heard speculated numerous times that, oh, they're selling these lots to be apartments. It's not zoned multifamily. It will not be apartments. These are lots that would be developed, and these are lots that were actually established in 1963 when the neighborhood was platted. That's not a new designation of lots. So it's important that that property is in the Mississippi Historic Landmark designation. The land that exists is green space and has a walking path is protected by an encumbrance by Land Water Conservation Fund. A town of 28,000 taxpayers that sees approximately 60,000 people in town on any given weekday and as many as 250,000 on an SEC home football game weekend has to be creative in exploring possibilities for our growing city. This exploration may result in no change at all. The board may further explore the opportunities for selling some of the adjacent lots for development under the Mississippi Historic Landmark Guidelines and using that money to implement needed improvements and annual costs. The board may further explore donating the property and or having someone who would hold the property in a public trust. The board may consider selling the home to someone who may preserve and live in the home. There are many moving parts. As your mayor, I feel like I owe it to our taxpayers to explore all options. We've done this on every property that the city owns. I feel like that's our responsibility, is to explore the options, knowing that Cedar Oaks will continue to be a treasure that we're all proud of regardless of ownership. I pride myself on being open and a good communicator with Oxford's residents, but I fumbled on this one. I called Carrie DeBrell to apologize today because I didn't make the right people aware of this item being on the agenda. Last Thursday, we realized that March 5th is the deadline for local and private bills, and that's when we realized that we needed to be on this agenda. I approved that and left town that day, and I apologize. That's all I can say, is it was not, I just didn't give it enough thought. I didn't communicate it well, and for that, I'm very sorry. That's all I can do at this point. It's important for the public to know that this is not a public hearing, but in this case, we are allowing Carrie DeBrell to speak for a few minutes, and there will be future opportunities for public input and questions. So Carrie, if you want to come forward.
Okay. Hello to the mayor and the alderman. My name is Carrie DeBrell, and I am the president of the Cedar Oaks Guild Board. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, non-political charitable organization dedicated to the historic preservation and education, which we do through the use of Cedar Oaks Mansion. Robin, I appreciate the phone call and the apology. I appreciate having a chance to talk to you about Cedar Oaks and tell you why I love it. We all know that Cedar Oaks is a historic house built by William Turner, who was the architect of Rowan Oaks. When the house was in jeopardy of being sold in the 1960s, the women of Oxford saved it, and it was moved to 2 plots of land that the Avent family donated. What you might not know is that the other 5 plots were purchased by the 3 combined women guilds and the women guilds that helped to save the house. So these 7 plots were donated with the house to the city when the city wanted more land to establish a park. There were hundreds of Oxford citizens in the 1960s that donated money to save and to move this house. It wasn't just the women, it was the community. Cedar Oaks has a great history, we all know that, but what I want to talk about is Cedar Oaks today. I've heard from other people that have suggested that maybe the alderman and the mayor haven't driven by the house lately, haven't attended some of our activities, and they may have thought that Cedar Oaks house is a dead house, and that it's not being loved by the community and that it's not being loved by the guild. They're wrong. Our guild loves this house, and we're going to fight for it. We currently have a guild of around 36 active members. We have a few emeritus members. We have some petitions to be accepted that we're going to vote on in a few weeks. Once this is over, we'll be voting on hopefully new members. So this house, oh, and these members, it's not just a bunch of old ladies, y'all. It's from 30 to 80. And then we have emeritus members that are up to their 90s. We just had an emeritus member who turned 90. So there's a lot of ladies here that are loving this house. So these members support the house and our activities in their free time. Our house has hosted parties. It has been used for couples to get engaged. People have had their weddings here, and I heard a rumor that maybe somebody in this audience had a wedding there. There have been prom pictures taken on our front steps. There have been prom pictures taken on our stairwell. Office parties have happened at Cedar Oaks. I believe maybe one of the city office parties was there a couple of years ago. In addition to the parties and the events, our guild meets there at least once a month during the academic year. Our board meeting meets the day before, and then the membership meetings are the next day. How much do we love this house? So much so that in 2012, 2013, we heard that the city was having trouble renting it as an event space because our kitchen was straight out of 1950. Can you imagine trying to have a reception and having a 1950s oven? We sold our most valuable possession. It was a Theora Hamlet painting worth $40,000. And I see that you have one on your wall. And if it's original, you are lucky. When it was all done, our kitchen cost around $100,000. $60,000 of that was out of our pocket, and it included that painting. In addition to that, hardware companies in the community donated refrigerators, ovens, a dishwasher, and then the builders donated their time. When the landscaping out front needed to be updated, we split the cost with the city. We spent around $5,000 of our hard-earned money from dues and from fundraisers to pull up overgrown bushes and to plant new boxwoods. We did all of this for a house that we no longer own, but we love tremendously. What have we done lately? Well, we were lucky enough to be the recipients of one of the Chamber of Commerce parking lot fundraisers. And we were out at the parking lot at the Chamber, I believe it was the Georgia Tech football game. Our ladies were out there dancing with signs. We worked really hard for $40 per person to park at the parking lot. On that day, we raised over $2,500 for the Guild. We also sponsored 2 large events last year that we plan on doing again this year. In May, we held a free Mayfest on the front lawn. We had 2 maypoles, a great big one for adults, a little one for the smaller kids. We had musicians with crafts, face painting, and the neighborhoods were dancing in our front yard. More importantly, we had the Children's of Oxford and Lafayette County attend. Our volunteers, our docents, read books to our children, and we made them cookies. In October, we hosted a tour group of 50 people from Wisconsin. These poor people signed up for a mystery tour and had no idea where they were going to get off the bus. They ended up in Mississippi, and we were able to educate them. We showed them our house. We talked about enslaved people. We talked about the Civil War and the Oxford history. And there were people that had never tasted sweet tea, and we served them sweet tea and cookies. And some of our ladies dusted off their hoop skirts from the pilgrimages that used to happen in Oxford. In October, we hosted a free trick-or-treat for the community. Our members donated money so that we could provide the candy for these kids. There were over 450 adults and children that attended. All demographics were there. There were African Americans, there were white children, there were Middle Eastern, there were Asian, there were disabled children. In December, we wanted to host a Christmas open house, but did not get to do it because there was a wedding reception booked for the city, by the city for New Year's Eve. It was too quick for our members to put the decorations up one week, do Cookie Palooza, take down the decorations so that the house would be free of decorations for the wedding event. But we have it on our calendar to do this December. And in past events, we haven't been able to hold it because of COVID and concerns for our members. But in past years, there's been 200 to 300 people that have attended, and that house is packed. And we feed them cookies. Do you have the theme? We feed them cookies. Okay, so Cedar Oaks is open to talking to the city about future events. We would love to do a project together to highlight Cedar Oaks as an education or event space. We want to make Cedar Oaks bigger and better. Robin, you have my number. Give me a call.
You got it.
Let's make it happen.
Thank you, Carrie.
One more thing, in closing, Cedar Oaks is a rare historical site in the middle of Oxford. It is a place of community, history, and education. The transfer of ownership was made in good faith that the house and property would be used and maintained in a collaborative way as an educational tool between the city and the guild. If you sell this property to the highest bidder down the road, you are selling Oxford's history and the chance of educating our children and community. Once you sell it, you can't get it back. You can't get the parkland back, and that's not just the trails that the Eagle Scouts came and worked on to clear the land. That's our front yard. That's the house. That's all those plots. That's the park. Personally, I come to the house at strange times of the day. Somebody's asked me to make sure that the dishes are out of the dishwasher, or that the flowers need to be watered, or that the boxwoods that we planted need to be watered. When I drive up that driveway and I see the neighbors of that community sitting on a bench with their loved one or with their dog or with their children, it makes me extremely happy. I see the neighbors using the trails. They walk their dogs, and some people in that area, they let their cats out, and the cats are back there. We even had foxes this past year. It makes me happy. Mayor and Alderman, please don't try to disentangle Cedar Oaks from the original legislation so that you can sell it to the highest bidder. This house is loved by the Cedar Oaks Guild and the community, especially its children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, well, the item before the board is to consider the resolution that has been read. I very much appreciate your comments, Carrie, I do, and I think that it would be, I would be remiss if I didn't say that this board values Cedar Oaks and wants to see it at its highest and best use. And so I don't want anyone to think that the board is thinking about Cedar Oaks flippantly or what have you, but we have to look at things and examine them, and that's what I'm recommending that we do, is take a look under the hood and make decisions for our community for the next 20 years. So does anybody have questions or input on this resolution?
What I would say is that the resolution has, here we go. The resolution is not for not for the consequences of Cedar Oaks. It makes nothing of permanent, no decisions as to Cedar Oaks. What it does is, in my mind, given the wording of the agreement from the city from the group to the city in 2010 or whenever that occurred, when that occurred, it talks about public trust. The house is not in a trust. The deed does not mention a trust of any kind. And so in general, in my mind, what this does is this resolution places Cedar Oaks on the same level as any other property that this city maintains, any other property that this city, under the city's care, it just places it on the same level. And again, this is not a consequential resolution. This resolution does not make any determination other than it places it on the same level as all other assets of the city.
Does anybody have any questions? You can disagree, but please do so quietly, okay? It's not a public hearing. I'm sorry. I let Carrie speak, and I'm glad that she did speak on everyone's behalf, but it's not a public hearing. Anybody else have questions or comments? Pope, anything to add? Without a question? All right. Then I would ask for a motion to consider a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen in support of the local and private legislation allowing the sale of the property.
I move to accept.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, vote aye. All those against, vote nay.
Nay.
Okay, so it is a tie, and with Mark Hulsey absent, I break the tie, and I am aware of his wishes as well, and so we will approve that motion. All right, next on our agenda, request approval of contract with Advanced Travel and Tourism for digital marketing for 2024. Micah?
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
I'm seeking approval to go into contract with Advanced Travel and Tourism. They're our digital marketing company. Money's in the budget, just need approval on the contract.
Just wait just a minute.
Yes. Yeah. On 2 noes, I have.
Okay, Micah, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I am seeking approval to go into contract with Advanced Travel and Tourism, our digital marketing company we use for advertising. The money's in the budget, we just need a signature.
Motion made to approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And now an annual update on the conference center.
Thank you for giving me the moment to summarize our past year at the Oxford Conference Center. Everybody have this report?
We've got it on our iPad.
Wonderful. In this report, you'll see the conference center's economic impact on our community. As most of you know, this past year, we completed a full facility renovation of the conference center, and we are already seeing increased sales and interest due to your investment in our center. Here are some quick stats for you. People through the doors. We had over 65,000 people attend events at the conference center last year. We had 250 events totaling over $850,000 in revenue, which exceeded our goal by $100,000, and all this with being closed down for 45 days for renovation.
Way to go.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We held 15 conferences totaling over $312,000, which came to 36% of our total revenue. Economic impact, we did almost $292,000 in catering revenue for our partners. We generated $280,000 in hotel revenue, which equaled 2,600 room nights booked. And I want to highlight, these room nights booked were mainly on the weeknights. And y'all, this is a 66% increase from last fiscal year.
That's amazing.
Wow. With these numbers, we are really seeing the rebound from COVID. This is pretty much validating an industry trend that meetings, conferences, and conventions have returned. Looking ahead for this coming year, we have a record number of multi-day conferences booked. One of the conferences we are excited about is the Mississippi Society of Association Executives this spring.
That's great. I didn't know y'all got that conference. That's huge.
These are the people who plan conferences and meetings throughout the state, and more importantly, pick their locations. We, along with Visit Oxford, will be working closely with this group to show them everything our city has to offer for their future meetings. We are continuing our renovation by addressing our outdoor terrace. We have also just completed an audio-visual renovation of our conference room. Finally, our team, I want to acknowledge our amazing staff. The feedback I get from our clients is always positive. We really do have the best in the business. Thank you for your time today, and I'll take any questions you have, or you can always reach me at the conference center.
Thank you, Micah. Does anybody have any questions?
Good job.
That is an amazing increase in business, and I know
Thank
that
you.
that doesn't just happen.
Well,
So
thank you so
thank you
much.
for the hard work that went into increasing those numbers. It's
Well,
wonderful.
thank y'all for your support. Appreciate
The
it.
photography of
They're smiling.
the photography of the team, can you tell me about that person?
The photography of the teams. I thought I recognized that word. All right. Thank you for that update. Request approval of agreement that will update the city's agent of record with the Morgan White Group for the remainder of the calendar year 2024. Braxton?
Our current insurance carrier, Morgan White Group, has had some staffing changes. In order for us to continue with our current plan for the remainder of this fiscal or calendar year, we need to change an agent on record. I need to get the mayor to sign that with your approval. The new agent on record will be Connie Brazel.
Motion made.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Next on our agenda is to request the approval of free parking on designated holiday dates for the metered parking spaces and paid parking lots on the square. This comes to us because there was some confusion at Christmas time when offices were closed on Friday and Monday, although the holiday fell on a Saturday and Sunday, and there was confusion about which dates the free parking would be acknowledged. And so we are just clearing that up so we can put that on the website and people won't have any confusion about what dates there will be free parking. You will see that those are attached there to this agenda item, and it just lists the date for all of those specific holidays. Does anybody have any questions or anything to add there?
Is there not a Christmas?
There was not a credit, it fell on a Sunday.
I know that, but for
Says-
next year.
Yeah, look, there, it's on there.
Yeah.
I must not have gotten an update.
Yeah, Jesus' birthday.
Update would be a
What
calendar.
do you mean? No, it's a list of all the dates in the memo.
Wednesday, December 25th.
Sorry, it's on second page. I missed it.
Oh, yeah, I was like, I don't know what you're looking at. Yeah, it's all the holidays and the dates, so we'll put that on the website, and then there won't hopefully be the confusion. I'll need a motion.
No, motion
approve
made.
the free parking.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right. DC, request permission to approve a parade assembly permit for Oxford Pride Sarah Isom Center to host a parade on May 4th, 2024, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
We've approved this parade in the past, and there's nothing new on with it, so
Yep.
we ask that the board approve it.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Request permission to approve a parade assembly permit for I'm reading the same one again. A parade assembly permit for Erica Pratt to host filming in the City Hall Pocket Park on February 25th from 11:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m.
With this permit request, there are only going to be 2 actors with this and a film crew. We expect the maximum number of people to be anywhere from 12 to 15. So it's just a single film that someone with the universities.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you, DC. Request permission to approve and authorize the mayor to sign an amendment to the general agreement with MDOT for STP 03600010. Rob Neely.
Good evening. The purpose of this item is to consider amending the maintenance agreement with MDOT for the BMX trail at FNC Park. That site is the perfect location and size for a future water plant, the M-Trade water plant, which we would love to house at that location. I've spoken with MDOT, who spoke with the feds as well. They're willing to amend the maintenance agreement that we have now to remove the BMX trail, which has essentially gone unused. It was included in the Pathways project around 2009, 2010, in the hopes that it would attract BMX events to town, and there have been no events and no local use of the trail. And so Brad and Bart and I and the consultant have looked for sites around the park. This would be a great one. This would save the city money as opposed to having to buy something adjacent to the park. And we feel like since it's sat unused for as long as it has, it will be unused in the future. It would be great for a water plant. There's an adequate supply, and we have capacity needs for water in the city. So,
Yep.
Motion made to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Request permission to accept the official recapitulation report for the special election held on Tuesday, February the 6th, as certified by the Lafayette County Circuit Clerk and the Lafayette County Election Commission. So, you know, you just recused. Don't vote to certify your own election.
Motion in second. All right here.
I'm new. That's right. Just giving you the
I'm going
heads
to
up.
approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Request permission for 2 employees in the planning department to attend the APA National Planning Conference on April 12th through the 16th in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at an estimated cost of $3,025.
Motion
Ben?
made to approve. Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? First reading of a proposed ordinance amending sections, you see them all, of the Land Development Code.
Thank you. Primarily just 2 changes here. Y'all might recall back when we zoned the entire city limits of Oxford, we had about 6 properties near Patterson Parkway and Anderson Road that had a designation of Legacy TNB. Inside of Legacy TNB, there was a limitation on the uses that actually did not allow restaurants with drive-through facilities, restaurants that serve alcohol, liquor stores, and vehicle repair or maintenance, also service stations that adjoin SR or ER. This proposed change would allow that restaurants that serve alcoholic beverages and liquor stores to be requested by special exception from the Planning Commission. Additionally, we are adding a footnote to the density to cross-reference to the residential density bonus that is allowed for mixed-use developments. This is found in section 3556, dwellings multifamily. We're cross-referencing the suburban multifamily district, traditional neighborhood business district, suburban corridor, and suburban center districts. The motion comes before you with a unanimous recommendation from the Planning Commission. And it's not a vote, it's just first reading, but I'm happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
Do you may have questions? It's a first reading, so at our next meeting, we will have the second reading and public hearing on that ordinance.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, consider Brittany Woods Water Distribution Acceptance of Work and Change Order Number 7 in the amount of $234.68 for final quantities.
The project is finished under budget by about $7,000, so we're requesting acceptance of the infrastructure and obviously the final quantities change order so we can get them paid and out of here.
Can't complain about $234.
No, you can't.
$7,000 under budget. Good job.
That will be a first.
All right, they have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Consider request from ICM Construction for special work hours for the Oxford High School CTE edition, March 4th through the 15th. John?
So between the dates of March the 4th and the 15th, excluding that one Sunday, they are asking when they are going to pour concrete to start at 3 a.m. so they can avoid morning traffic.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And Keisha and Mary Martha abstained. All right, consider a change order from Upchurch Plumbing for an increase in the building controls allowance. Mark?
This is a change order for the police station. We had our mechanical package. Within it, we had an allowance for $85,000 for the HVAC controls. And we received 3 bids through our mechanical contractor, which is Upchurch Plumbing. The lowest of those bid was about $34,800 above the allowance. After digging through some cost-saving measures, we were able to reduce the overage by $9,000. So the total additive change order that we're asking for is $25,800. I do want to point out that we were working on several deductive change orders to offset this increase, and we also have money set aside in latent conditions and contingency. So given that, we're recommending approval of this change order.
Mark and I talked today just to make sure where our bids were coming in, because it made me a little nervous that we were 35% over here, and would we be 35% all the way across? Yes.
Yeah.
He assures me that we're not.
We're not. We have,
except for IT and what was the other one?
We have furniture package, and we have the technology package, which is out right now, which is being advertised right now. The furniture package has not been advertised. We have some allowances within our contracts, and we feel good about the control, the amount in those allowances. We also, in addition, have a pretty sizable condition, latent conditions and contingency. But we don't see any deduct on that to the very end of the project. We would roll that in at the end of the project.
With Mark's assurances, I will prove this.
No pressure there, Levy. That's right. I'm like, I don't know, his poker face didn't look really strong to me right now, but, okay, so
I
we
didn't
have,
say this wouldn't be the last out of change.
we have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Consider bids to replace the boiler at the Oxford Conference Center.
Okay, about a week and a half ago, we received 4 bids to replace the original boiler unit that is 25 years old now. The low bid was $170,000 from Mississippi Mechanical, which is an Oxford-based plumbing company, and that's in budget. The mechanical engineer of record recommends approval, and we also, so I want to recommend approval of those bids and permission to enter the contract with Mississippi Mechanical.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
We're in budget.
Second?
Second.
Anyone? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We have handled 23, so at 24, we have consider a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen in support of amending House Bill 1730 from the 2020 regular session of the Mississippi Legislature.
So
You want
this
to give
is,
a quick overview?
yeah, this is the second of the 3 that we're going to talk about tonight. It's in support of repurposing and redirecting $4 million appropriated by the House Bill 1730 for the University Highway 7 intersection and expand that area to include the connection of Commonwealth and Pegues Road. The repurposing of the appropriation is mostly timing related, as the city executed the memorandum of agreement with MDOT prior to the appropriated funds of the federal funds. So this resolution would just support the expansion of that project. It's an important north-south connection on Commonwealth and Pegues, and it ties in the University Avenue project that we're already working on.
Move we approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Consider a resolution of the Mayor and Board of Aldermen in support of a request for funding for the expansion of M-Trade Park.
This is the final resolution in support of the funding request. So the resolution summarizes all the benefits of M-Trade Park to tourism and small businesses in Oxford, and the need for expansion to facilitate the growing needs of the community of Oxford. This request is for $5 million and an estimated total project that will cost around $15 million. So recommend approval.
All right.
Move we approve.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Great. I'll ask this board to consider an executive session.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? The board will now consider an executive session.
Gotta get one thing in.
Got it.
Got it.
Hey, Scoop, how are ya? Good.